Today I'm going to go over lesson 8, which is reading and writing numbers to 1,000. This can be found on page 68 in your workbook. So first I'm going to go over some review. So remember, our last lesson we used hundreds, groups of tens, and one pieces to show different numbers. So looking at what I have shown right here, can you count or know what number is shown? So there's a couple different ways that you could have solved this. One way would be to use this chart. Remember, this chart has hundreds, tens, and ones. Those are the different place values we're working with today. So looking at our pieces, how many groups of hundreds do we have? We only have one. So under the hundreds place, we're going to write the number 1. Now, how many groups of 10 do we have? We have 1, 2, 3. So we have 3 groups of 10. And under the ones place value, we would write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 because we have 5 of these little pieces. So this tells us that our number, if we put all those numbers down below, equals 135. 135 is how much is shown here. That's one way you could have counted up to see what the number is. You also could have just looked at the pictures and counted. So this is 100, 110, 120, 130, 131, 132, 133, 134, 135. So 135, you can count it, or you can use this chart to help you figure out how much is listed. So now we're going to go over example 1 in your workbook. So in your workbook, it gives you the number 735, and it wants you to write the name using words. So this is the number it gives you. $735. When we read this number, we don't say 735. So we need to figure out how we would write it in word form. So we're going to use this chart again to help us rewrite this number out. So a 7 would go under the hundreds, the 3 would go under the tens place value, and the 5 would go under the ones place value. I'm also going to use the pieces to help us. So we have how many groups of 100? 7. We have 7 groups of 100. So I'm going to count out 7 of these. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we have 7 groups of hundreds. Then, looking at this chart, how many groups of 10 will we have? We'll have 3. So I'm going to put 3 of these sticks. Remember, each stick equals 10. So 1, 2, 3. And now how many ones will I have? 5. That's right, because it's in the ones place value. So I'm going to count out 5 of the small pieces. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So when we want to write a number, we need to look at each place value separately. So let's start with the hundreds place value. There's 7 groups of 100. So if we're just looking at these, let's count how much this would equal. We have 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700. So I'm going to write 7 hundreds equals, and if you were to write this using numbers, be 700. I were to use words, I'm going to write out the word 7. So 7. $700. So this is how I would write it using words. This equals 700, and this also equals 700. This we're just using words to write it. Now let's move on to the tens. So I'm going to move these aside. And I'm going to look at these three right here. So remember, we have 3 groups of 10. So let's count by tens to figure out how much this equals. So we have 10, 20, 30. So 3 tens equals 30. This is also in your book on page 68 if you want to follow along. So 3 tens equals 30. Now how would we write this using words again? So 30. You can sound it out. So 30. These words right here are the same as this number written and this right here. So 730. Now how many ones do we have again? Look at our chart. We have 5 ones. So that's these pieces right here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if we want to write it again, 5 ones. Remember, we counted it out. How many did it equal? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Equaled 5. We just say the word 5. So it equals 5. And how do we write that in words? 5. Again, sound it out. So 5. So now if we're just looking at the words, I'll put some stars by the words that we wrote. We're going to put all of these together. So 735 is the same as saying this is the word form for 735. They're both the same. So 735. And we use a little hyphen in between the 30 and the 5. So 735 in word form, the name is at 735. So this would be your answer for the bottom of example 1 on that bottom line. So now let's turn the page on page 69 and let's do example 2. So for this one, it gives you a number again at the top, and it says, what is the value of each digit in the number 619? So it gives you 6, 1, 9. It wants to know what's the value of each digit. This is a 3-digit number. 1, 2, 3. There's 3 numbers, or 3 digits in this number. So let's go step by step to figure this out. So again, I'm going to use some pieces to help us show. So 619. Just like in your book, I'm going to put it in the chart. So 6, 1 under the 10, and 9 ones. So 619. So remember, 6 hundredths is the same as writing 600. I'll show you with the pieces also. So if we have 6 hundredths, we're going to need 6 of these. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now, how many groups of 10 are we going to need? Only one. You're right. There's a 1 in the tens place value, so we only need one group of 10. So here's one group of 10. We can't forget about the ones, so how many ones are we going to need? 9, that's right. So I'm going to count out 9 tiny pieces. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I used these pieces to show 619. So in your book under number 2, it says look at the place of each digit in the chart. Remember, the 6 was in the hundreds place value. So if we look at just the hundreds, groups of hundreds, we can count 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600. So this 6 in the hundreds place value, the value of that digit equals 600. So the value of this 6 in this hundreds place value equals 600. It says in your book, 600s equals 600. And it has it written like this. Then move over one group of 10. This one group of 10. 10. If you're counting by tens, this is 10. Only 10. So one group of 10 is equal to 10. And the 9 and the 1s, let's count how much it equals. So remember, we're counting by ones because these are single pieces. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this 9 in the ones place value is the same. It equals just 9. So on your paper at the bottom, it says in the number 619, the 6 has a value of, you'd write 600 on that first line. The 1 has a value of 10. So write 10 on the second line. And the 9 has a value of 9. Put the 9 on the last line. That's all you have to do for example 2. Now let's move on to the last example, example 3, on page 70. So at the top you can see it says a number in expanded form shows the value of each digit. So it's kind of like we're writing an equation, but there won't be an equal sign at the end. So very close, just no equal sign at the end. So for example 3, it says write the number $486 in expanded form. So first, let's go ahead and put that in our chart. So I'm going to try to match it up. So the 4 will go right here in the hundreds place value. So 4, the 8 will go in the tens place value. And then the 6 lines up with the ones place value. So 486 put in the chart looks something like this. Then on step 2, it says look at the digit in each place. So 4 hundredths, remember, that equals 400. Because I would have 4 of these. So 100, 200, 300, 400. So 400. Next, move on to the tens place value. There's 8 tens. So if I had 8 of these, you'd count by 10 for each one. So you go 10, 20, 30, and then you keep going on. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. I have 8 fingers up because there's an 8 in the tens, and the last number I said was 80. So 8 groups of 10 equals 80. And then there's a 6 in the ones place value. So I'm going to try to put them down so you can see. So if I have these, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 ones. Now if I count them, remember I'm counting by ones because it's the one place value. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So for the ones place value, it's easy. 6 ones equals 6. So now you're going to make an equation to start. So first look at that hundreds place value. What's the value? The value is 400. So start with that number. So 400 plus the value of what's in the tens place value. So let's look again. There's an 8 in the tens place value. The value of 8 groups of 10 equals 80. This is the value of that digit. Yes, it's 8, but 8 groups of 10, remember if you count by 10, that equaled 80. So 400 plus 80, remember we still have to keep adding those ones. We can't leave them out. So add another plus sign. And how much does 6 ones equal? What's that value of the digit? 6, that's right. 6. So 400 plus 80 plus 6 equals 486. 486. So this is an equation because it has this equal sign. If we want to do it in expanded form, all we have to do is take away that equal sign and the sum. So this is what you'll put on that bottom line. It says write it out in expanded form. So the number 486 in expanded form is 400 plus 80 plus 6. Now it's your turn to try. Turn to page 71 and get started on the problems and go up to page 73 practicing.